Welcome back to this video, guys. I'm going to continue on with the Ae86 air ride installation, and in this video I'm going to concentrate on trying to fit all the wiring to run the system. But before I do that, I need to remove these two seats so I can just pull back the carpet and feed all the wires nice and neatly. So using the manual which came with the kit, I'm just trying to work out how to make a start on the wiring, just so I'm aware of where I need to attach things and where I need to feed them through. So all the lines here I've done, that'll be easy enough to mark, because what I've done in the boot is I've marked each one with a bit of little masking tape to tell me which airline has come from which corner, front and rear, so I know where to insert them into here. So that's all good. All the fittings that I need to attach to the tank, that should be easy enough as far as I'm aware, other than the relief valve, which I'm still waiting on. I can fit everything, such as the pressure sensor, which is there. And what I've done here, as I just mentioned, is just using the manual, just basically lightly attach where everything should go. And then from this point on, what I can then do is work out where I want to install them into the boot and how to feed them, such as the power cable, which needs to come from the battery. I will probably run that cable internally, so I'll probably fit it along the edge of the passenger door, just under the carpet, through to the boot. So then I can power the compressor. So that's the cables which will be attaching to the fuse, as you can see from here. This obviously shows two compressors. I'm only running the one, so I almost ignore that and just use that part of the drawing. So yeah, I might make a start on this. Now I know that I've got everything and it's all going to connect. I can make a start on, yeah, basically fitting it to the car and getting it hopefully as neat as possible. So really, hardly any of this should be on show. So yeah, I'll crack on and do this. Okay, so I've just finished fitting the main power cable, just there. I've tried to hide it the best I can, and the cable is red, and because I didn't want it to look obvious in the engine bay, if you can just see here, I had a really long piece of heat shrink, and I've put some black heat shrink just on it. There's the fuse just there. I've just fixed it just underneath the washer bottle, so it's out of sight. And if you can just see, if I grab a light, you can just see it go around there. And I've utilised that bung just there, which then leads underneath the dashboard. Okay, so you can just see the cable there. This is underneath the dashboard. You can just see the cable there. I've just fed it behind the AC fan, just so it's tucked right out the way. And from there, you can just see there that the cable is now the original red, because I no longer need to use the heat shrink, because you're not going to see this. That then feeds down just there by the fuses and relays. And from that point on, just pull back the carpet. I've just run it down the side of the sill there on the inner side, and that continues all the way past the seat mount, and then it hides just underneath here. You can just see there, and I've just then hidden it inside this panel, and as you can see just there, it feeds into the boot, and I'll show you how I've fed it into the boot. Okay, so that's fed from that panel, which is just there, as I showed you, the trim, and it comes through, and I've utilised, if I can get the light, I've utilised this hole here, so I've just fed it through there, through the top, and then what I've done is I've led it underneath this panel here. Even though this is going to be covered with the carpet, I've just covered it up by coming under here. And if I remove this panel, you can just see it just there. And very luckily for me, there's this little bit of trim which you can pop. Now this was originally for speaker cable. Now this car from factory didn't come with rear speakers, but that's what that is. So I've utilised that, and this is where the cable ends. So it's perfect length from Airmext. You can also just see there that that's where I've decided I'm going to fit the relay, which this will attach to. And what I'm now about to do is I'm going to utilise this second hole just there, and all these bolts do is just hold this shelf support on, but I'm going to utilise that one, and what I'm now going to do is attach this fuse and wire, and this is to lead to the ignition. So I'll be feeding this down the driver's side, just like I have done with the power cable just there. And also this fuse here, this is a 5 amp fuse, and this is leading off the main loom, which plugs into the back of the manifold. So yeah, I'm going to fit those, and I'll show you how I'm doing that. I'm going to overlap them just like that, and I'll insert the bolt. Just like that, and then I'll fit them just beside the relay underneath, and they'll be nice and neat. So there it is fitted, guys, just like that. And what I'll do, both the red and the blue cables, I will feed also through that hole there, which will be hidden behind this panel, and then from there I will be able to plug them into the manifold, which I'll probably have on this side. The ignition wire, this blue one, they've given me plenty of meters to play with. So what I'll be able to do with that one is probably feed it underneath this panel here, follow the red power cable across this channel here, and I'll feed it along down the side all the way to the front and find the ignition wire and splice that in. I've already removed the trim, so I'll follow this loom that already exists, find out which ignition wire I need to splice into, and I can do that. That shouldn't be a problem. And then all these bits of trim just here, which I had to remove, can go back on. And what's really nice about an older car like this is that these are literally just held in with little screws. So really simple. Okay, so you can just see there the blue wire. That's fed all the way through. And you can just see it down here, all the way down the side, waiting for me just there to find the ignition wire and plumb that in. So all these panels can go back on. Okay, I've come across a very minor issue. So the blue cable is perfectly long enough, as I've just shown you. But with this red cable, because of the size of the fuse, I can't actually get it through the hole. So I was going to splice this cable and then join it back together so I can feed it through. And I didn't really want to do that, but I'm going to have to do that anyway now, because what I've just realised is I've fed this all through underneath the panel, but where the plug is for the manifold, and the manifold's going to sit just behind here, unfortunately the cable, as you can see, is a little bit too short. So I'm going to have to extend this red cable anyway. So yeah, if you guys decide to do this setup and have it as I've got it here, you will need to extend this cable. So I'll find a bit of cable and yeah, I'll splice a new bit in just to give me the extra length I require. So when the manifold sits there, this is plugged in without being too taut. Right, before I do that, what I'm going to do is show you guys what I've done with regards to fitting all the airlines. Okay guys, so as you can see just there, I've attached the line for the front, and also I have done the rear, but I started on the front, and it just runs through the side there and follows the brake lines, and hopefully you guys can see. You can just see just there, if you can pick it up, there you go, where the line follows the route of the hard brake lines. And the same for the other side. What I've done is I've just gone along, and as you can see just there, attached it to the hard brake line, and that, as the other side comes through and just up into the bag over coil. So the fronts were, to be fair, really easy. Now, feeding the lines from here to the rear of the car, I'll show you how I've done that. Okay, so it's not that easy to see, but these are the hard lines for the brakes, and I've literally just followed and attached the airline to those hard lines. It's really hard to see, I can't get under the car because the fork chum led underneath it, but I hope you guys can get the idea. So it leads from underneath there, from the engine bay down, and literally, as I said, just attaches all the way to the rear, and I'll show you where it goes from the rear. Okay, so from continuing from the front, as you can see there, just on the hard brake lines, it comes up, and I've gone in to these little rubber bungs. Now these sit underneath the rear seat, so I've utilised those, and they then go from the backrest of the seat into the boot, exactly where the manifold will sit, so that was very convenient for me. Okay, so these are the rear bags, and if you can see, there's the airline coming out of that rear bag, and I just follow yet again the hard brake lines, knowing that they're going to be not moving and supportive, and I've just held them with, at the moment, some cable ties. I would like a neater fixing, but what I want to do really is get this system working and running, and I can then pop the car down to a friend's garage who has a ramp, and I can get it on the ramp and spend some time to really neaten up all the airlines from front to rear and get them looking as good as possible. So yeah, so far chuffed, and hopefully I won't receive any leaks. Okay, so back to this. Managed to get myself a little bit of wire. So yeah, I'm going to splice into this one here, add that bit of wire, and hopefully I'll be able to all tuck it in nice and neat, and then move on to the next bit. Okay, so fast forward a couple of hours. I have now spliced the red cable and extended it, and that now leads under here and up into the fuse. So that's done. I've also done the same with the compressor. So I'll be fine with the earth cable, the length, but with regards of the live, as you can see just there, I've just added about 1 meter. I may need to trim this down, but that is also so I can tuck it underneath the carpet, underneath the plastics, and put it into the relay. You will notice that I've now removed the rear seats. I should have done it earlier, but it's a lot easier for me to access where I want the earthing points. And if I go round, I'll show you what I've done with regards to where I'm going to put the earth. Okay guys, so what you can see here is the 3 points I'm going to connect the earths, because I've got one here, and one for the compressor. And this holds this centre bracket, which pivots the rear of the seat. So I'm very lucky, and I haven't got far to travel. I've just fed them through, as I have with all the other cables. So yeah, going to utilise that, bolt those into position, fit this back on top, and then that's my earths all sorted. So that's very convenient for me to have those there. I think what I'm going to have to do next is probably get the board in, because what I'm going to have to do is work out where I'm going to fix the manifold and the compressor, tidy all these pipes and wires up so I know that they won't get crushed. And then I should be able to get the rear benches back in, or the rears of the seats, which are here, and the carpets, and hopefully test the system and make sure that all the electrics work. The wood is in, and underneath, if I lift it up, I had a spare carpet, black carpet. So I've put that in first. The wood's going to sit on top, and then just up there is the blue carpet, and that will sit on top of the wood. I've just roughly laid out where I'm going to want the compressor and the manifold. And if I move these out the way, you can see I have marked the holes where I need to drill them, and the same for the manifold there. So I will get those drilled, get some fixings, and get them bolted down. And what we'll have to do is just pierce some small holes in that carpet, because obviously the carpet's going to be on top of the wood, but I don't mind that. And yeah, I think once that's done, I can get the rear seat back in. Okay, so I've just finished fitting these and securing the manifold, and also the compressor just there. So to keep this wood in place so it doesn't slide back, I've just added these little brackets here, and these bolts just go into some holes, which are just there. There they are. So I've already plugged in the manifold. All I need to do now is feed the live and the earth just through this slit here. So lucky for me, the rear carpet of these seats are split. And what I'm going to do is just wear the earth just there, and then the live will go behind this one and join on to the fuse, or relay, sorry, which is just under there. Just reattach this bracket, and as you can see, there's an earth point all bolted in. So hopefully that's a great earth. And yeah, I'll just feed it through the centre of this split. I'll tidy these two wires up together. All I need to do now is just feed the live through here, and I join it to the other loom just there. Tidy it under the panels, and then, as I said, connect it into the relay. Okay guys, so as you can see there, I've now fitted the rears of the seats back into the car. I've tidied up the cables as mentioned with a bit of conduit there. You won't see that once the tank's in place, but I just wanted it to look tidy. I've also fitted all the air lines into the correct fittings, and I'll put a picture up just here now, and I'll show you what the manifold states, even though within the manual it does actually state which pipe needs to go in which connection. So yeah, that's done. I have the tank here. I've just got to work out what fittings I want to use. That can then be put in situ, and I just need to plumb the last two wires, last two hoses, which comes out of that fitting, and there's another one exactly the same, but it's just hidden under those pipes. The pressure switch and the compressor with the water trap, which is just there. Put the crossbar back on the roll cage. I just need to fit the seat itself, but whilst this was out, I thought it'd be a good idea to clean up the lap belts. So these had a couple of stains where they've been hiding under the seat. So I took them home last night and gave them a good scrub, and I'm really happy with the outcome. So I thought I'd do that whilst I have the opportunity. And what's pretty cool, stated on the tag, Toyota Corolla rear. And somewhere, if I was right, yeah, stamped 1983. So they're definitely the originals for the car. But yeah, it's a nice little detail. So I'm going to refit those, put the seat back in. I may even put the two front seats back in, as I no longer need the access. And just like that, the front seats are now in. So that's yeah, all the interior back to how it was. Okay, so I'm just deciding on the orientation of the tank. I've decided to go for this. So the two outlets on the manifold will go into these 90-degree fittings at the top. I have the water trap here, which I'm going to fit on the end, and this pipe will just curve round like so and screw into the water trap. Now what you can't see is at the back is 2 holes left, one of which I am going to bung, and the other one is going to be for the relief valve, which is kind of at this angle, about a 45-degree angle. And if I ever need to access that, I can just simply push this seat forwards and relieve it if I need to. And on the end here, I was going to bung it also, but I managed to pick up a gauge. Now this was about 15 quid, which I thought was good money. I think they're around 15-20 quid on air ride websites. This one in particular goes up to 230 psi. The relief valve I have is rated up to maximum of 200. But I thought to keep, like, I love this old cylinder look, and that's why I sprayed it copper. And I think if I put the gauge in at the end, it'll look pretty cool. Obviously I have the digital readout just there on the controller, but I thought it would be nice just to have an analog gauge as well. And as I said, it goes with the look that I'm aiming for. So yeah, just now plumbing everything in. So I'll get back to you guys once I've done that. All done, guys. All plumbed in. All I've got to do is wait for the relief valve and fit the rear shocks. But otherwise, that is the installation of the air ride system for my Ae86 all done. And what is brilliant is under this freshly restored parcel shelf that I've recently done, if you stand back, you would not even know that I had air ride system on this car, and that is exactly the idea that I had from the beginning. I do utilise the boot. I didn't want to do a boot build, but to be fair, I've made it look as pretty as I can, and honestly, I am over the moon. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the content. There's plenty more to come, and yeah, I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.